Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity and practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, so welcome back to Reframing Mindset Podcast. My name is Colin Smith Brooks, and this episode is going to be me talking about family evolution. And it's one of those epiphany where it finally clicked. I've been making a lot of episode and thing and learning a lot of things and doing a lot of things. And I could never pinpoint what was that it thing that is making everything not going according to plan. And think I finally found it. Family evolution. You must have heard me say it in one of my previous episodes where I said, talk about breakdown of the family, single motherhood and all those stuff. But yeah, you can talk about it in that way. But I think the core problem is family evolution. The family is not evolving to the new level. And what's the reason for that? Well, before the reason for that is because there's a term that a person named Maslow has made. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I think the problem is no one on earth, no one on earth, living or dead, has made has has satisfied the first level of needs as yet. That's the reason for all our problem. So, what is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? So, you have at the bottom you have psychological needs: food, water, warmth, and rest. Above that, then you have safety needs, which is security and safety. The upper part is belongingness and love needs, intimate relationships and friends. Above that, you have esteem needs, prestige and feeling of accomplishment. And then you have at the top, you have self actualization, achieving one full potential, including creative activities. So, my thinking is the problem that we have as a human species or whatever it may be is that we haven't satisfied the first level as yet: food, water, warmth, and rest. And that is what we as humans have been struggling from how long until now, trying to get right so that we can get everything else up better. So, ho- so fully try to explain it more. I'm trying to maybe use my exam, my my experience to kind of push down the point more to really understand. So, boom, I graduated university in 2018, you know, and then I graduated with biochemistry, which is a science major in a country, Jamaica, which there very little science uh, jobs. And I think I'm matured enough in the science field to understand why there aren't any much science job. And this was evident throughout my science journey, but you would realize it as it's so indirect. And the reason for so little science job is – science research is expensive. and it's not easy to make a business out of science. It's and science is an very expensive research, expensive thing. Going through the school and something like that is a very expensive thing, you know. And that's one of the reasons why it's very little. Like at the end of the road when you finish, is a very small subset of you um, compared to when you started. You know, maybe a lot of people started science and then at the end of your road when you finish graduating, maybe with a master's or a bachelor's, it's like a little subset of you, you know. And it's because it's expensive and it's hard, you know. So that's one thing. So when I graduated and thing, I could from then 2018 until now, I've been employed out of then from 2018 till now for maybe 2 full months and 2 full weeks where I get paid for my work and stuff like that. Outside of that, I've the money have come from my family or stuff like that. But not only that, I've from then until now, what I've been trying to figure out, all those times until now, was how to satisfy that first part. If you have listened to all the planning and executing part of my episode and stuff like that, you realize I'm just trying to get as much money accumulated and stuff like that to have a certain income and thing. And the reason and the subconscious reason why I was trying to do that for so long was to try to establish the first level of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where I have a place where I have proper food, water, warmth, and rest to so that I can feel safe, so I can actually start working on the next level, which is security and safety. And it's through this journey that I've realized nobody has satisfied that first level as yet. No one has satisfied it. Maybe they have one in excess, one in before, one in the other, but nobody has satisfied that core part yet to reach the next level. Even the richest man in the world or something like that, he's still not satisfying that first level. He's he is successful in one aspect, but other aspect is bringing him down, stuff like that. The richest people in the world, Bezos and whatnot, they're divorced, they're being divorced and stuff like that. So when them being divorced, they're technically having a relationship and stuff would have made them reach the belongingness and love needs part of the hierarchy, but they have failed that part. The intimate relationship and friends, they have failed that part in their road to success. So, which kind of make them mm, maybe they are higher on the hierarchy, but they're still not reached the top and where they need to be at full level of comfort and stuff like that. So, nobody on earth has yet satisfied that first level as yet. That first level. The next thing is that I've been that kind of made me bring up, reach that point is also, after I graduated and stuff like that, and I was at my grandmother's place, there was a point in time where I have this tomato, like this tomato farm, and we have tomatoes in excess where we have like a month's worth of tomatoes that just keep blooming away. And I usually just pick them and just give my grandmother, and my grandmother would just squeeze them and put them in a bag and freeze them. So we'll have tomatoes for a long time in the freezer. And then and it reach a point where we would just give away some and else just give some to our family and then whoever come with us to oh you can pick what you want and stuff a lot of people got from that small tomato farm. And the next thing was the banana. We have banana and ripe banana. So you usually have how banana um grow is that you have like one banana that will grow, and then when it ripe, you cut the banana, the bunch of bananas from the tree. Then you cut down the tree. Then you cut down the tree because that banana tree cannot produce any more bananas. But when that banana is fully ripe, another banana shoot is going to grow up beside to make another banana tree to produce more bananas. So that's how we usually have a lot of bananas for a long time as well. But what I did realize with the banana, which was different, was that I had a plan that I wanted to do with the bananas when they were ripe. And my grandmother had a different plan. She wanted to make banana pancakes and stuff like that. But I tend to more want to make banana drinks, and even though she may want me to make banana drinks, she wanted to make it herself. And that was a conflict of interest that made the banana not maybe made the banana not reach its full potential of usage in that. I mean, where we had an excess of banana in some sense, but I had to compromise with her because for one, it's her place, and then the banana growing, we technically grow on her land and stuff like that. So it's her banana. So I'll technically have to compromise and say, okay, I'll eat the banana pancake that she made, which is very good and thing. But that time spent at my grandmother's showed me how that the whole time I could not figure out how to get my she had the benefit of being older and gone through a lot more. So she has figured out her some low level of the psychological needs for food, water, warmth, and rest. But just coming out of university fresh, trying to figure out my way, trying to balance employment and then buying the right stuff, right groceries and stuff like that, was me struggling to learn how to get my own basic needs met as well. And you can see that in the episodes where I'm I every time I start a new goal, it changes a lot to my basic needs. Like when I started to go to the gym, I started drinking more water, more juice, and then my cost couldn't really go up to that to meet that um level of level of the amount I'm drinking. So it costs a lot more. Plus with the theories and stuff like that. So if you actually listen to the episodes, you'll see how I'm struggling to meet that basic needs. While I'm actually accomplishing some of my goals, the struggle is still there for me to meet my basic needs. And the next way you can also see that is also the episode where I talk about what is my ideal grocery list, where I talk about it and I told you from the first time that I've actually bought all of those items on the list, I've never since then bought all those items for one all at once again because I could not get enough funds to buy all of those items again because how expensive it was. So I always for every time I buy groceries and stuff like that, it's always a compromise on what I will buy and not buy. So those are all examples of me showing how I have not reached the first level. On my journey, I haven't reached the first level of my basic needs as yet. I'm still struggling to reach there. And back to what I was talking about, the original topic of the episode, family evolution, is that what I was saying was my family come from humble beginnings, my grandmother and grandfather were majority farmers and like those stuff they usually plant stuff and sell stuff at the market and stuff like that. And now I'm a university graduate and but what the family, while we have come a far way, what the family has failed have always failed to do was evolve. We are somewhat specialists in our own field, but we are very independent and we cannot get the evolution of our family right. We have, you know, right now I'm looking, one of my goals is to try to get a car for myself and stuff like that. In ideally, me being the last grandson and all, should have it easier to get a car. With me being the last grandson and all, they would have more experience and more time to accumulate. So some of these stuff that I'm working to get now, me being the last grandson and a couple generations, this family has been a couple generations far. Ideally should be getting some of these things easier than how I've been getting them now. And that's the general point that I was trying to explain about the family evolution. And I think you can see it as well, where you may have come out of university or maybe you come out of a place and you realize that I may have a family support and all, but their family support doesn't really change anything. You still have to work for what you want. What you want is completely maybe completely different from the family vision. So you are basically like me, starting from scratch, trying to make your way, and it's not really I say, oh, the family is not helping you, because no, my family is helping me, giving supporting me and stuff like that. But because of the COVID thing, kind of exposed how the family has not evolved and are efficiently use our skills, we end up being very fractured and basically have to be each of us is basically starting from scratch our own journey. You will get what I mean. It's not like for example, I know I talk about single motherhood and stuff like that. In the ideally, if I first was to grow up in a mother and father would coming out of university, I would at least have my driver's license, as the father would technically more likely to be a driver and teach me, hey, how to drive and stuff like that. So I would have come out of university with a driver's license. Though that was something I wouldn't have. The driver's license wasn't even on my brain when I left university until during the coronavirus pandemic, when it was when it was an idea that came to me. People had driver's license before me and asking me, "Oh, bro, you're 20 something, and you don't have a driver's license." Yeah, I never had it because it wasn't something that was on my family brain. My family was all education, education, education. They never once say something like, "Oh, get a driver's license." These things that I'm doing now, none of these things were mentioned by my family. And if you, as a person, listening to this, and don't, and your family don't tell you, you what yourself is not, you yourself was not exposed to this, and it's simply simply because the family hasn't properly been is not being properly evolved. We are being told the same thing. Oh, go to school, go to university, and then the other university problem, which I just posted, was the core problem. As I was talking about, the core problem can be, which I've been talking about, this past 90 minutes, can be explained and seen as two ways. So I've left university since 2018, debt free, thanks be to God, debt free, and it's majority due to my family investing in my education and stuff like that. But when I went to university, majority of my peers and stuff like that were on student loan. So fast forward now to 2021, some of my peers now would technically be still paying back student loan, you know. But the kicker is right now, as some of my peers will be paying back student loans now. New university student now would be going in, taking out student loan as we speak, as some of my peers now are trying to get out of student loan. So what does that mean? The same thing that I talk about where I say, oh, everybody is starting, basically you're starting from scratch. The people know that the newest 18-year-old and stuff going to university now that are taking out student loan is them starting from scratch, not knowing that taking out a student loan can be one of the worst decisions you can ever make in your life. And that's due to, and they, if they took it, is maybe the fact that none of the family knew how disastrous a student loan can be. Only thing they may know is that, oh, education is good, education is good. So back to the topic that I was talking about, family evolution. We are still trying to figure out how to properly advance the welfare of the whole human race. That's yeah. So that's the basic essence of what I've been saying. Yeah. So it's a topic that I know how to just release. How to release for the people that listen to this and understand it. You will understand the importance of understanding this core message, and I think you should maybe listen it twice just to get the core idea dog of what I'm trying to say is that you have not meet the lowest level of your hierarchy of needs, which is food, water, warmth, and rest. And that's where your struggle comes from. You haven't really met your food, water, warmth, and rest. But some of you may be trying to reach level of security and safety, trying to build relationship and friendship, trying to earn prestige and feeling of accomplishment, and maybe trying to reach self actualization, which is achieving one's full potential, without basically meeting your food, water, warmth, and rest needs. So basically, you may attain all of that top one, that over the top one, but because your foundation is not, and the hierarchy of needs is basically a pyramid. It's basically a triangle where it shows that the bottom triangle, which is the bottom part of the triangle, the base, which is the psychological needs, is the broadest, and the self actualization is the smallest. So in my case, my self actualization was me getting my biochemistry degree, where I've specialized in biochemistry. So in a broad term would be me being a science student, but me self actualizing was me going and pursuing a bachelor's in biochemistry and ended up becoming a biochemist. So that may be different for you somehow, but what I've been saying is that if you haven't um you haven't what are met your basic needs, you self actualizing will not mean anything because you still struggle to meet your food, water, want, and rest need. And you still struggle, still have stress, and still have all kind of sadness in your life, So yeah, that's my little rant on it, and I hope this episode kind of reframe your mindset to kind of sit down and reflect on your foundation. Try to see if you figure out your foundation, and then so you can build from there. Yeah, man. So, all right, yeah, I look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Okay, so welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast, and this episode is uh, you know, uh, episode to tell you about. Yo, I did a radio interview, a radio talk where I was a guest on the interview on the radio. Yeah, and it was the radio station that I was trying to get the ad that I made to broadcast on, and it's due to one of my previous guests, Brittany Clark. She got me onto the radio and thing. And I did my thing. I did my thing and made my name. Not a lot of people may see, but since I did it, it only makes sense for me to um tell the people that support the podcast. Yeah, I went on the radio, and I'm going to drop